Welcome to the I Am Consciously Curious podcast. I am not Victor Chan, but we only have 4 mics here, and I'm joined with my barbecue brothers, K-TEX BBQ, and also Heffer BBQ.
Hey.
So,
what's up, guys?
Hello. Let's kind of go through. I guess you guys are the new kids on the block.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourselves, what got you into barbecue and things like that?
Sure. You want me to kick it off?
Yeah. Go for it.
So for me, I mean, I'm assuming it's like pretty much the kind of the same story for majority of us. It's like we got curious, probably got a Weber kettle, and just like fired it up and started some like, shitty ass grills, and you're trying to think you're some dude trying to like, get some good stuff going. And so I don't know, it's I was in nursing school when I got the first Weber kettle, and I was like, some downtime. I loved like bass fishing, and then the other thing I picked up was, I was like, oh, let me try to do some other kind of like manly stuff, and so let me start firing up the Weber kettle, And so, just grilling burgers and stuff like that from the beginning, and then I was like, oh, some YouTube videos on, how do I do, some ribs? So then checked it out, and I was like, oh, okay, so there's these different methods you can do on the Weber kettle to smoke some ribs. So started working on that, and then, I was like, okay, let's try some pork belly, because in Korean culture, like pork belly is like huge, right? So instead of like, the typical Korean barbecue where we're just on some, griddle, something like, firing off some sliced pork belly, I was like, oh, let's do a little chunk of an actual like uncut pork belly, smoke that, and I was like, oh, this is delicious. And then it just kind of like gradually grew, and you're just like, I'm just kind of digging into it, doing briskets and whatnot. And then ultimately at the end, like I want to say about 10 years ago, just came into my head, I was like, man, there's nothing like Southern barbecue, or like just any kind of like what you typically think American barbecue is, with Korean flavors. And it's just been in the back of my head for a minute while going to nursing school, and and like long story short, ultimately at the end I was like, hey, Steven at the time, he was in Myanmar doing Peace Corps stuff, and he comes back because it was hot during COVID, and he got like evacuated to Japan, and then eventually like comes back to the US. And I was like just kind of like trying to be like, hey, what do you think about like doing this kind of barbecue with Korean flavors? And initially he was like, oh, this is not a bad idea, let me try some stuff. So he buys a Weber kettle, right, and then tries to smoke a brisket, and it was
fucking rubber. But to be fair, I started with ribs because I thought it would be easy. So I started with ribs because I thought it'd be easier, and lo and behold, it is easier. But I had the best first rib experience, and I was like, oh my god, I'm locked in. I'm fucking gonna do some brisket right now. It was a mistake. It was terrible. And my brother, I was like, hey Sam, walk me through it. Like, what do you do? I did some research of like, okay, hot and fast. We were doing the hot and fast at the time. I was like, okay, how many hours? Like, what temp? There's a snake method. I did the snake method and did all of that. And then I was like, okay, the hard part is like the end. Really, it's like, for me, it's like, when do you pull? Like, how do you know your brisket's ready, right? And so I asked my brother, and he's like, oh, you just gotta like jiggle it. I'm like, all right, what? And he's like, if it feels like jello, you're good. And I'm jiggling, I'm like, well, it jiggles. I don't know what I didn't know what that meant yet, you know what I mean, like what that feeling would be. And so it was a terrible brisket. It was terrible. Yeah.
So initially it's like I've never done briskets or like barbecue with like a thermometer, right? It was just like a lot of the people that I listened to and like watched on YouTube were like, they weren't really like probing it with a thermometer. They're like, oh, at a certain temp you want it this way. But when I'm watching it, they're just like, oh, if you feel it, like so then a lot of my practice was like trying to get to that feel, and then once I slice it, I'm like, oh, okay, that feel was right. And so, you know, ultimately at the end, it's like I convinced him to jump on board, you know, bring him in along and be like, hey, let's try this, you know. And so
are you the older brother?
I am the older brother.
And
yeah.
do you kind of get him in trouble, like with your parents, you know, when you guys were younger?
You know, it's funny because we have like, what is it, an 8-year difference? No, 7-year difference. Yeah. So it wasn't like there's a large gap. So it wasn't much of like any kind of like conflict between us, or like it was more like he is like the baby brother.
Yeah,
so,
baby brother.
It was like, you know, like he had his like distance and be like, okay, like most Asian cultures or like Korean culture, it's like, oh, there's kind of like this Confucius like hierarchy type of stuff. So there's these like little barriers. So it's, you know, but at the end, you know,
I mean, are you trying to understand if like, did he like almost kill me a couple times? Because the answer is yes.
Well, I'm just trying to learn the dynamic, and for people who are listening, like, you know, who you guys are, how do you guys come about to barbecue?
Yeah, and so we ultimately at the end, we, like I said, long story short, is we jumped on this and we're like, okay, we can do this. So we initially bought this old country, like I want to say maybe it's like 150 gallons at the most.
Yeah, at best.
Yeah, at best. And that was like the first time I was like talking to Shawn. Like Ryan from Novel was like, hey, I got a buddy of mine. He's in the game. You know, reach out to him. And it was like one of the best things that happened, because he just was like open arms, like, yo, come check us out. I'm smoking right now. So, you know, it was like dead of winter, I think, that first time. So that's what we were like struggling with. We're like, we have this like old country smoker and it's fucking cold as hell, and we're like, we don't know how to control this fire, you know. And Shawn, I know at that moment, was like, dude, you ain't gonna be doing shit with that during the winters. So you're gonna have to try
country Pecos, man. It's like you're gonna have to try your best. Mess that thing up.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah. So we're, you know, definitely like trying to plug away at it, and then
we graduated to a 500 gallon, which was the right thing. Right.
Which was
reverse flow.
Reverse flow, which is different too, because now we're learning from both you guys. It's different. It's kind of like different techniques that are definitely involved with that. The big thing is we started the business kind of in
we
the
got
hole.
Scammed. Yeah,
we got scammed.
Or I got scammed. I'll say that.
Yeah. No, I mean, we both did, because it was like super. I don't even remember the name of the company, but it was a company out of Indiana.
Southern Smokers. I remember.
Okay.
Southern Smokers.
Take my money.
You will remember.
Well,
yeah.
Real quick pause here. Just for the listeners, what's a reverse flow versus traditional offset cooker, which is really used in Texas style barbecue?
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, your traditional offset is going to have the firebox on one side. You know, pick your side, and it's going to directly flow into the main cook chamber, and then the exit stack is going to be on. I'm like watching my hand cover a camera. The exit stack is going to be on the opposite end, and the smoke will just travel from one end to the other. Sure, it might do some magical like things in between, depending on like what your firebox looks like, but that's generally what you're looking at as a listener here. We, on the other hand, have a reverse flow, and so what that means is you have the firebox and the smokestack on the same side. And so how does that work is there's a baffle system on the bottom of the cooking chamber, which is directly connected to the firebox. The smoke will travel through the bottom of that baffle system. It'll exit through the other side and wrap around the main chamber again, and then exit out for the fire stack. So there's pros and cons to it that, you know, most people have covered online quite a bit. It's the pro, in my opinion, is a huge pro, is the temps are very consistent throughout a larger portion of the cooking chamber. And so for me, that means, you know, we get a little bit more real estate. Also, once you hit a certain temp, you can kind of keep it there a little bit easier. You don't have a big spikes right, in temp, depending on when you're putting in new logs. The con, or at least one of the big cons for us, it just takes a long time to warm that sucker up, right? And so you I don't know what your average is when you first light up a fire and try to get the whole cooking system to temp, but it typically takes us like sometimes over an hour, like well over an hour sometimes.
I mean, dead of winter, you're looking at like once you get a decent coal bed going, and to get the whole oven up to temp, the tank up to temp, sometimes like this winter, it was like an hour and a half, 2 hours to get it up to temp. So like that's kind of like the game that you're playing with, you know.
That's why it's
and then once
flow
that,
all day.
and so once you drop, say that you kind of like snooze on time, if we're like doing something or like prepping and whatnot, and the temp drops, you're like, shit, now we gotta like fire it up, and it's gonna like take some time to go back up.
Yes, but it holding temp means also, like in my experiences, it'll drop temp, like, because if there's no significant fire, it's gonna drop temp, but it will drop temp slowly too, right? It won't spike up quickly, but it also won't spike down super quickly. And so you do have some, like, let's say,
there's a little bit
margin,
of
maybe a wider margin. I couldn't say it because I haven't been on a traditional 500 gallon before, but that's my theory.
You could use mine, just go there, light up a fire, and
for sure.
let it rip. It's fine.
The other thing, and I kind of maybe we workshop it, and we don't have to workshop it here, but I'll ask it, is I've noticed, because we did a cook with Shawn from Heffer Barbecue,
this is Shawn right here from
Shawn's
Heffer
right
Barbecue.
Here.
The legend.
Legend.
Yeah.
Like, what was it, like 4 months ago, 3 months ago?
Yeah, sounds about right.
Around then. And my God, your bark on your brisket came out fire within like 7 hours.
Convection, maybe.
And same, when I sat with you that one day, and you're like, we just like opened up, and I think you were there for what, like 6 hours, maybe at the 6 hour mark, maybe.
Yeah, around that time.
And then I'm like looking at your bark, and I was like,
it sets so much better.
Yes.
And maybe it's a traditional thing, like maybe it's either convection, like you're saying, we don't get a proper convection because of reverse flow, or somewhere in that process it's not translating over properly. But it takes us sometimes like 10 hours to get like something I'm satisfied with.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's like Ford versus Chevy debate. There are people that will swear by reverse flows. I've cooked on both. I have my preference, and I'll die with that preference. But there's pros and cons to everything, and it's just about knowing your equipment.
I agree. Yeah. Like I won't die. I'll try a freaking traditional.
I mean, it's good to get that experience
I don't have to die on
kind of go through the different types of equipment, to kind of understand a little bit better on what you're cooking, either brisket, ribs, pork shoulder, whatever the case may be. Over to Shawn for a little bit. I'm feeling this right now, seeing you guys come to the scene, like Texas style barbecue, and kind of going through the same things that when we first started doing pop-ups, that I see that you guys are going through the same things. And it's like this is so cool to see to me, to be like, hey, we've gone through this road and we can understand the pain that you guys are going through. But kind of walk me through, Shawn, what are your feelings on, if you were to do this over again, let's say nobody knew who Heffer Barbecue was, and you were starting right now into the Texas style barbecue in Chicago, what would you do differently?
For me personally, I would have not gone towards the residency so quickly. We sort of killed our demand by having us be available more often. Scarcity is good. Also, keeping a pop-up is way more fun. It's like you pop up, it's once a month, twice a month. It's way different than 4 days a week, every week for 2 years. It's just so much different.
You started off doing your residency 4 days a week?
Our first true residency was at Kimski back in 2020. and that was 4 days a week off rib.
Wow.
Damn.
Before that, shout out Low Res Forever. They were the first ones to give us our opportunity to pop up there, and we would do 1 day off pop-ups while I was still over the road trucking at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it could only be one time a month. It's like, so come and get it. And that demand drove that. And then you spread that out over 2, 3, 4 days or however many days in a month, and it doesn't always add up. So trying to make it like a full-time gig too quickly was probably one of my bigger mistakes.
You did you get your 500-gallon when you were still in trucking?
No. Actually, that came like right when I was basically ready to separate from trucking completely. There was a great conversation I had with my boss at the time. I was like, "Hey, I'm out." He's like, "It's about fucking time." We're like, we knew, and they were great too because they allowed me to. Basically, I worked 40 hours a week, Monday through Wednesday. If you truck, you know that. And then we would shop Thursday, cook Friday, serve Saturday, rinse and repeat.
Yeah, no rest.
No, not at all.
Do you miss it at all? Any aspect of it?
Honestly, I have no regrets about anything that we've done. The whole process, like I've had my missteps and my faults and whatnot, but at the end of the day, like there's been so much infinitely more positive than negative that I will absolutely never regret it at all.
But like, certain aspects of your job that you're like, oh, that was a positive for me. And are there any aspects of the trucking job that you're like, I miss that aspect of it?
Truthfully, a few weeks ago, I thought about dipping my toe back into that water. But I love the craft of barbecue too much.
Yeah.
So like even with my personal experience where our pop-ups and residencies in the long term didn't work out per se. Yeah. But now that I have an opportunity to work at one of the best barbecue restaurants in the city and also like they're up there in the country in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's like, so I get to be a part of that team and
what restaurant is that?
That would be Green Street Smoked Meats.
Let's go.
Yes, sir.
Very delicious. I love Green Street. Shout out to Green Street.
Yeah, shout out Green Street. Shout out Dave Bonner. He's been a day one supporter. I mean, Green Street sent me over food at Kimski when I didn't even know the man.
And the crazy thing is, it's like I reached out to Dave Bonner when we were pretty much nobodies, but like he was very responsive and he was like, hey, yo, like whenever you guys have the time, I'll hit you guys up and we can do a cook together type things. And it was like just through the DMs, like he seems like a very genuine, like good dude.
He respects anyone who's trying to do it proper. It's like anyone, like once you do it, you understand how hard it is. So you immediately have a respect for anyone who's trying to do it the right way. Yeah. Because let's be real, there's a lot of people that are not doing it the right way. And that's why the barbecue in the city gets such a bad rap sometimes. It's like, I won't put anyone on blast individually, but we all know who they are.
That's how my father used to speak to me.
Asian trauma. We'll save that for another episode. I think, with barbecue in general, it's just the time commitment that you have. Right? Like it's a lot of sacrifices that we make in terms of relationships that we have outside of what we do for our job or hobby, whatever we want to call it. That makes it so difficult, and you almost have to be a masochist. I think you are a masochist if you want to do barbecue, but you want to do Texas style barbecue, which is maintaining and watching a fire. So I think with respect to that, if someone's willing to put in the time, then we're all like, hey, we'll help you along the way, because this is such a time-consuming task. And you can spend 14, 16 hours cooking a brisket. You get to your pop-up, let's say there's bad weather outside, and then now you're like, damn, I spent all that time, and if you don't sell out, then you're also spending money on labor to take that product back, right? And like, then what are you going to do with that product? You can't really, you could repurpose it for other things, but when you spend the 14 to 16 hours, why? And then you're like, I don't want to have it be less of a quality because of the time that I spent, the resources that I use for it. And I think, Texas style barbecue, or in Texas where everyone's, doing offset cooking, that's kind of the relationships that people build, because like it's kind of a fraternity, if you will, of, hey, we all have had our fair share of not sleeping. It's kind of almost required when you start. So, speaking of Chicago BBQ, what do you think of Chicago BBQ? Why Texas barbecue? Like, kind of go through those things.
I mean, Texas barbecue, just because it's the best. Like, no disrespect to the Carolinas. I love whole hog barbecue. I love all barbecue, but Texas gets it right. It's like it's not even about just the cooking methods and the proteins. It's about the hospitality. It's about just it's so much more than Southern hospitality. It's like Texas is just different. That's one of the reasons we've tried to replicate that, like, the whole time that we've been here. That's what it comes down to for me, is like, I think across the board there's better barbecue coming out of Texas than anywhere else currently, period. And even a lot of the places in Texas now are doing whole hog, are implementing other elements, and that's seen outside of Texas way more than vice versa. It's like you see way more people that are brisket centric than they are whole hog centric. And honestly, I fell in love just as much with the culture as I did with the barbecue itself. It's like I know people from California to Connecticut doing barbecue. All of my best homies outside of Chicago are in Texas. Yeah. Period. Yeah. And like Leroy and Lewis opened their doors to allow me to use their commissary kitchen at the time. This was pre-brick and mortar, whatnot. Just literally, Evan was in Mexico at the time, and he still just gave me the keys and just like, hey, my house is your house. It's like, where else do you see that?
Yeah, that's different.
And that is why I've tried to do the same. It's like, you guys weren't the first ones to hit me up. You guys were the first ones to show up. So it's like, cool, if you're going to come through, then I'll show you everything I'm doing. It's like, there's no, like, it's nothing special. Like, I still don't think anything I've done is special. It's like, I just really freaking care about it. That's the only thing that makes it different.
And I think that's like, that was what was low-key kind of like surprising to me, or maybe to us, was just the ability to like reach out and how responsive you guys were. And you just, in my mind going into this game, you're thinking like, okay, there's all these like trade secrets. These guys are going to like hold out, and I'm just going to like try to like squeeze something out to like learn whatnot. But it was just crazy how open book you guys were. Just from you, Shawn, to you, Charles, it was just like, anytime like I'm having trouble with this cook, like, it didn't matter, like, I'll hit you up, but if like you're busy doing whatnot, I'll hit you up, and then the next thing you know, it's like, okay, hey, here's some tricks that I've tried, and see if it works out. And at the end of the day, like, it pans out, and you guys weren't willing to like gatekeep anything. And so that was like huge to us, to be able to continue to like grow and learn, because I mean, there is a graduation process, right? So it's like, you're coming from a Weber kettle, and then you're doing this little old country trying to fire things up, and then you have this 500 gallon, and you're like, yo, this is the biggest thing we've ever seen, and now how do we learn from it? And the couple guys that we know, hopefully they respond, right? And to be able to do that. And even with Joe, Knox Ave Barbecue.
Shout out Joe Yin.
Yeah, so it was just like, so it was wild that I would hit him up, and he'd respond as well. So, and he's a Chicago guy too. And so just kind of like going back to what you're saying, like the culture, like I think to maintain that culture, like it bit me more into the game because of the culture and just how you guys kind of like welcomed us in, versus like, am I making the best brisket? Am I making the best like ribs out here in town? Like it doesn't matter, like, cause obviously we have like solid coaches or people that we can reach out to make our product and fine tune it. but you guys are definitely like supporting us with what we are coming to the table with.
Yeah, and for listeners who don't know who Joe Yim is, he is from Chicago, Lincolnwood specifically. We were neighbors. Essentially, my parents live like a block and a half from him. He school teacher, math, Niles West High School, I think, and then he decided to do barbecue. He went down to work at Leroy and Lewis. He worked at Terry Black's. He worked at Truth Barbecue. All these legendary barbecue places in Texas. He's a teacher first and foremost, so he has a lot of knowledge, and he has his YouTube channel called Knox Avenue Barbecue. Right now, he is currently the pitmaster at Leroy and Lewis, which was one of 4 barbecue places that received the Michelin star. They retained their Michelin star, right?
Yeah.
Back-to-back champs.
Yeah, and they're just overall really nice guys, and they're the leaders, the trendsetters for what we call new school barbecue, where it's not like the traditional barbecue of just your ribs, pulled pork, or sausage and brisket. So how has that influenced you guys? And I know you talked a little bit about 10 years ago thinking about, hey, Korean food and barbecue, which makes a lot of sense, and Shawn, with you and the Mexican heritage with your wife, kind of those influences, how has that influenced your barbecue and what you guys put on the plate?
I mean, for us, it's no secret that the vast majority of the creativity on our menu comes from my wife, who, unfortunately, 4 mics couldn't be here. She says, I'll catch up on the audio.
She's also very good with like designing the menu and writing it out, right? Like, beautiful
very much
work.
So I dragged her into this barbecue stuff. She's way too talented for it. But that said, even for us, like, we were trying to diversify. Like, we were the first people really here that were doing tri-tip. No one was doing pork steaks. We were trying to just lamb. No one was barbecuing lamb here before we were doing it. So like, it wasn't so much as just trying to diversify it as far as my wife and her culture, like with the crunch wraps and the salsas and the different slaws and and everywhere that she had a hand in everything, but also in diversifying the menu, like almost to a fault. Like, there were times at our Weiner residency where I was shooting myself in the foot because I was bored and trying to do fun stuff. So but yeah, just being able to incorporate other cultures and doing other proteins and doing a variety of things at a high level that aren't your just traditional brisket, rib, sausage. It's like, still make sure you it's like anywhere, you have to nail the staples, a little less here than other places, but we're slowly changing that culture. Because that's been the whole thing all along, is like, we wanted to bring some of that Texas mentality here. That's the only reason this barbecue roundtable is happening. Is like, the influence is there. Like, a lot of the OGs, myself included, are like out the game, and I'm back working a 9 to 5. Let's be real. It's like, but still seeing the influence is there. And I had a hell of a ride for 6-7 years. And if I never actually opened up my own restaurant, great. If not, it's like, I can still see these like small babies here and there. It's like I helped plant that seed. It's like, and we talked about it in print in the Sun Times years ago, that's exactly what we wanted to do. Is like, we want to bring that here. And the same with Evan Leroy's mentality, is like, it's not a style of food, it's a technique, and it can apply to a lot of things. Like, Lenore's smoked bee balls are out of this freaking world. It's like, it's like Italian. It's like, it's like, no matter what you do, if you incorporate live fire into it, it is going to get better, not worse, every single time.
Yeah, I mean, on my part, I didn't approach this thinking, like, number one, I didn't even know what new school was when we were very seriously thinking about like starting a pop-up and like trying this out. At that point, he had already had 10 plus years smoking meats. I was several years into it. We didn't approach it thinking, oh, we're going to be this new school type of barbecue bringing. We just kind of approached it as, hey, we're Korean, and whenever we smoke meats, we happen to eat it like this at home, and it's fire. And we just latched onto that piece, not necessarily trying to catch a trend or build a trend. It was just kind of what we normally did, right? And so it's awesome to be part of like a growing movement of, you know, the new school barbecue. And it's awesome that what we have imagined in our minds kind of fits into a category, but that's, I guess, not how we approached it initially. And it kind of what you said, it really resonated with me, Shawn, is it's the technique, not necessarily, you know, the culture of things. It's like we fell in love with the technique of smoking meats, and then it naturally kind of bridged into our culture, right? That's kind of how K-TEX.
Yeah, cook what you like and hope other people like it too.
Right.
That's the ethos of our entire business.
I actually learned about the word new school barbecue not too long ago. Actually, I was like, "Whoa, there's a thing for this." Huh?
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard it as craft barbecue too, but that all came much later in our K-TEX journey.
Yeah, and you know, I think for me, it was learning the technique to master what I thought was, I'd never tried great brisket before Franklin barbecue. You know, and I tried that, and I was like, "Oh, this is great. How can I pair this with my culture, my heritage, and you know, just stuff that I love eating, and sharing that and seeing, hey, is this going to work? Are people going to buy it? And if so, then how do we figure out how to make it into a business where, you know, we're hitting our margins and everything?" So I think with, you know, and let's kind of go back a little bit to Chicago barbecue scene. You know, what are your thoughts on it? I know, Shawn, you alluded earlier about a couple places. We don't have to name names, but what do you think about the Chicago barbecue scene? What do you like about it? What do you think that it can improve on? Things like that.
I look at it differently now from a business perspective because I respect it a lot more and I understand the true cost to get into the game. So a lot of the decisions that a lot of these places are making, I'm sure, are made from a reasonable standpoint. But for me, it was too much just kind of turn and burn barbecue. Like, it wasn't high quality. There wasn't a lot of love in it. There's a lot of gas assist, like just nonsense, which is also Chicago's fault because they freaking hate live fire cooking, which is ironic because now hearth cooking is like the hottest thing in the city right now. But God forbid you want to cook on an offset outdoors, covered or not. It's silly. So the city itself has been holding back barbecue, period. Aquarium smokers are awesome. Like, I still very much want to cook on one. Is like, but
where are you gonna find one? That's another thing.
Yeah, exactly. So
I saw one on Facebook Marketplace for $600, by the way.
No shot.
Chat later.
Oh man,
we can set up one right here. We just need a fence outside. Victor, just let us know if that's okay. We'll do a marathon on aquarium cooker.
Yeah, that's wild.
So I mean, compared to when I first started, I feel like the barbecue scene here is like leaps and bounds ahead of where it was like 6-7 years ago. And it's that whole, like, you know, rising tide lifts all ships. It's like it got better, so everyone else had to follow suit. It got better, so everyone else had to follow suit. You know, you're forced. It's like, oh, people are like, oh, this is different. It's like now everyone else has to either catch up or get left behind.
Right.
Yeah. What about you guys?
I mean, for me, like, Chicago barbecue was
sauce ribs,
like rib tips, like just, you know, just covered in sauce, and I loved it when I first came here, you know. But then when you start really diving into, like, you know, the barbecue scene, and there's like all these different styles, and then you start looking at the OG style and whatnot. Not to not to say anything negative about Chicago actually has a distinct like barbecue type of scene. It's just not, how do you say it? It's just not out there. Like I don't think it's just out there, like to be like, okay, you know, like you're Texas or Kansas or like, you know, you're just southern barbecue style. Like, you know, you have to be like, you know, dragged along to be like, okay, check out this like aquarium style, like, you know, barbecue that they're doing, or these rib tips or whatnot. But in addition to that, like, that's what I kind of saw Chicago barbecue at first. But then when I'm slowly starting to see now is just Chicago style food is just very eclectic. Like just all different kinds of cultures. And now we're bringing in like the barbecue scene into that. And now we're having like Southern style, like very technical, traditional like Texas style barbecue here, but then we're infusing, you know, each individual here is infusing our culture into that. And then I think that kind of now defines what Chicago barbecue is okay, you know, I'm Korean, Chinese, Vietnamese, you got that Mexican culture in there, and now we're all doing that together. And I think that's kind of like the true, what I'm seeing as like the true heart of like what Chicago barbecue is, and or maybe it isn't, that's how I'm defining it, but what it can be, you know.
What I'll say along with that is that's one of the biggest reasons that I think that Chicago should be in front of Kansas City in terms of barbecue. It has a lot to do with the fact that we're in one of the best culinary cities in the world. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot harder to get to the front. And that's why you see a lot more diversity in our barbecue than you will see in like a Kansas City. Mm-hmm. And I'll say it, our barbecue is now better than that. Mm-hmm. It's Texas, Carolinas, Chicago, Kansas City, in that order. Fight me.
You said it. But what influenced, I think, the speed in which Chicago barbecue is moving, the demand is just different than in some of those, you know, state, like let's take Texas for example. It's an everyday meal for some people. You know? Like there's a lot of people looking for barbecue, just anywhere, and there's a lot of people providing it, right? You know, gas stations have top-notch barbecue sometimes, you know, and so Chicago, the volume is just significantly lower in terms of demand, but also supply, right? There's not a lot of people, at least. There's not a lot of people doing it for good reason, right? And the people that have done it historically in the past, most of them aren't here anymore, right? And so Chicago hasn't been very nice to the barbecue scene, and so it's dragged a little bit along. I think New School fits in really well in this dynamic right now, primarily because it is such a foodie scene that we, at least on the face of it, come off as a novelty in the beginning, right? Like, oh, it's new and it's interesting and it's good, right? And that carries really well in Chicago in the moment, right? And so it's I think if for like a table like this, how do we carry it forward and make Chicago barbecue a thing, and not to like burden our shoulders with anything. We gotta, number one, how answer that problem of like how do we move from a novelty to like a staple in the community, and how do we grow in terms of numbers too? Like how do we do what Shawn has been doing and really build people up that are interested in doing the craft? And I think that's, Chicago just doesn't have that right now at like full swing like Texas does. Like you find it every block. Yeah.
And I think we have to address the white elephant in the room, and Shawn, you alluded to this earlier, are the rules for barbecue, right? I think all of our preference here at this table is Texas style barbecue, but there's a place for Carolinas, there's a place for Kansas City, there's a place for Chicago barbecue on the south side. You got Lem's, Honey One, like those are great places. You know, they were I think Lems was awarded the James Beard
Right.
Yeah.
Heritage Award, and I went and I waited in that line, and waiting in that line before I was doing barbecue, I was like really happy, and then waiting in the line now doing barbecue, I was like, man, this can go quicker, like certain things, right? But the white elephant in the room is the cost associated with it, the rules. We can fit an offset. I mean, there's a reverse flow cooker out in Lincoln Park. Briny Swine is doing it. There was the first offset that was underneath the hood, was Flat and Point out in West Fullerton. Now they're Dorothy's. They're killing it with their breads and their bakery at the Green City Market. But we can put that in there, but the cost to do that.
Do you know how much it was on the HVAC?
Oh, it's got to be at least 100,000, right?
Six figures.
Yeah, for sure.
So
it's prohibitive.
So is this, and I've done a lot of thinking about this and a lot of research. Is this sustainable, right? Like, how much volume can you do on your 500? How much volume can you do 1,000? How much volume do you need to do to be able to support rent, to be able to support staff? And then what happens if your pit master is sick that day and you're trying to run this business, but now you have to go on the pit and you have to do that? How's that going to affect your quality, your service? So cooking outside is a great thing. We do that for barbecues, family, friends, and everything. When the city comes knocking on your door, and I've had that happen twice. Like your business shuts down, and you have to really pivot from there. So I think part of it, for me, is that the city doesn't allow you to cook outside unless it's a permanent event for Taste of Chicago or something like that, where it's 100 degrees outside. You have raw chicken sitting on the table, and you're like, okay, that seems right.
Yeah.
Versus, hey, we're smoking meats. It's a way of preservation, and we're cooking higher than the standard 165 for chicken, right? And we're cooking beef where you can let it sit out. You can dry age beef. So all those things is. Okay, that's the challenge. And I think the legacy restaurants like the Lems, the Honey One, where they have that aquarium smoker, I mean, that's a tough job. And that's very, very...
and it's not a lot of real estate cooking space.
It's a dying art. I mean, I think those establishments will stay there, but there's no new like Southside Chicago barbecue going in there because it's so tough on the neighborhood too. You're burning your coals, you're putting a couple of blocks of wood, and then you're spraying it with water. You're creating a lot more kind of nuance than you would with just going into your offset actually. So I mean,
to be honest, you're not seeing any new people coming out and be like, okay, I'm gonna start an aquarium smoker restaurant. Like none. Unless if you guys know of any.
There's alternatives now, right? They'll either downgrade in quality, or you have your rotisserie smokers and things like that.
The same amount of HVAC that's required for an aquarium smoker, you can put your rotisserie in. It's like M&M puts it, is like the offsets are for show and the rotisseries are for dough. It's the only thing that there was no business plan that we had ever considered where the 500 was our mainstay.
Main cook.
Because you could put 14, maybe 16 briskets depending on the size of it on there, and then you can't do any other cooks, and you're stuck for at least 12 hours. Right. So that really limits your ability to sell and to make a profit. Rotisserie for me is where I'm going with the restaurant. I'm not going to mess with the offset. I think that's it's tough. I mean,
it's kind of what you got to do, especially if you want to be in the Chicago zip code. Right.
And it's wild because like internally, I feel like it's not a negative. It's like I'm kind of like betraying that art by going to like a rotisserie, but then now you're looking at like M&M, for example, and those machines are wild. Like those machines are putting out good product, and and the quality is like could be up to par, but I think it's just me just being in the game, and I'm sure like you guys probably battled with it too in the beginning until you guys settled in. Like, of
course,
rotisserie is it's it's not wrong. Like to think that it's wrong, it's like, no, it's like, you know, just because it's not on the offset and like the traditional, where I'm thinking like when I go and you're seeing, you know, whatever place in Austin, there's like, you know, 4,000 or 5,000 gallons like sitting next to each other, and they're just like running that. But, you know, we don't have, to be real, like we don't have the ability to do that in the city of Chicago, you know.
And even the vast majority of those restaurants now, they at least have one
Yes,
rotisserie
yes.
in their arsenal.
Yes, for sure.
And the rotisserie itself predates the offset model by nearly a decade. It's like, so they existed first. It's just that Aaron Franklin made it hot, along with so many other things. And a lot, and don't get me wrong, I absolutely love mine, but especially now that I've been working with the J&R for a couple of weeks now over at Green Street and seeing the product that comes off, like you can get there. You can absolutely get there.
Yeah, and you know, going back to what you were talking about, Sam, is, you know, when you start your barbecue business, there's the art and then there's the commerce, right? So it's like, okay, the art is what feeds my soul. It's what I want to do, and it's a way to express myself. But there's a certain point where you're like, okay, can I make enough of this art for people to buy and for me to make a living? And, you know, for me, I'm like, that's a very hard road to take versus, you know, I'm going to go commerce first, and people who follow me while I'm making money and still support me, and then I can start doing the art. You know, and that's kind of the trajectory I'm thinking about is I'm going to make food that's good enough, that I feel is great, that people will want to buy. And then I can start doing some, you know, off-menu items that I feel true to myself, that I can be like, hey, you know what? This may look and sound weird, but I'm already making money in my barbecue restaurant, so I'm just going to try this. And if you guys understand my point of view and you buy it, that's more power to me, and that's how I can express myself. So, you know, you look at Akahoshi, Ramen Lord, right? He showed a picture, it was a month ago or so, where he's like, oh, these scallions that he sliced super thin, you know, I couldn't tell the difference. And he's like, this was done by a machine. And he's like, I felt so bad. I'm like, I bet you didn't feel bad when you have to pay for the labor for that, right? Like, no one's going to sit there, eat their bowl of ramen, and be like, you know what? These scallions, I think they were sliced by a machine and not the steel of someone's hand with a knife. It was, you know, sliced with the machine that was powered by electricity. So I think I'm at that point where, hey, like, I get it. Like, there's an art form to it, and we want to make the best brisket possible. And we see it every day, so we're making adjustments every day. But I think for someone who is just a casual barbecue person that wants to eat barbecue, I don't think they can tell the difference whether it's an offset or whether it's a rotisserie. You know?
I mean, for us, K-TEX, we're not there yet, right? There's so many other problems that we need to solve as like a
learning
startup.
Opportunities.
Yeah, learning opportunities. We know we'll get there, of like, because there's a thin line between, like you said, art and commerce, and we're negotiating some of those as we go. But you know, you guys have gone through it or are going through it, and we'll ask for tips later when we cross some of those roads.
The biggest thing is if the art's not profitable, then the art goes away. So like, you have to be able to make at least some semblance of money in order to continue to do said project, regardless of whether it's food or art, you know, actual like art or whatever your chosen path is. Like, if you are trying to monetize it and then you don't monetize it for a profit, you're on borrowed time.
Here, let me ask you a question then. Let's say someone lobbies on someone's behalf, and we get some of those laws that are prohibitive for offset smokers into Chicago. Would you seriously consider it? Being able to smoke outside without a hood, just, you know.
In the thing with that, especially in Chicago, that brings in a whole new set of problems.
Property.
You have to be able to afford the footprint in order to do said things. So and that's the thing that differentiates Chicago with a lot of our other barbecue-centric cities, is our barrier to entry is way more expensive. Like, you can go off the grid in Texas, you can go off the grid in the Carolinas, you can go other places and you can do the same in Illinois, but you're not going to have the same effect that you have in Illinois, in Chicago. So it's just the cost to entry in this city is exorbitant, and there's a reason why private equity and capital is, going towards the restaurant industry. It's like your favorite person is probably backed by someone who's doing some shady shit. Let's be real.
I think, Stephen, to answer your question, I think it would depend. So, I look at it from a labor standpoint. Can someone be better at me doing this, smoking the barbecue, smoking the briskets on an offset than me? If the answer is yes, I will hire that person and I'll do that. And then I got to focus on the business. If that's not the case, then I can't be running the pit and also doing marketing, finance, and hiring people. Right? That's the difficult part about it is, this is what we do right now is craft. Yeah. And craft is very difficult to make a profit off of. Right. So, when I'm thinking about what's on my menu, what are the techniques I'm going to use, I'm really taking a step back. Kind of like the worst position you can be in as an operator is that you're not doing exactly what you love to do, and you're not making money doing it, right? And you're trying other things to make your business survive, where you're like, okay, this kind of sucks because like I'm not doing what I want to do. There's no passion in it, and I'm trying to just make money to get by. And that's the very difficult part where, okay, you're in this middle area of art and commerce, right? Like you're trying to still do art, but you're like, okay, we have to lean into commerce, but is it too late now? Like, did I set myself up in a position where I can just do commerce? And it's very difficult. It's what we experienced when, the city came down. It's like, hey, somebody complained and you have to move your smoker. I'm like, okay, great. Like, what are we going to do now? We have 2 locations. We have to pivot. And it's like, it's not something that I loved and what I got started doing, but it was something that we had to do just to survive. So I think, being in this position, being in a few years into it versus you guys just starting out, I'm like, hey, I would encourage you guys to think about really understanding, really focusing on the business aspect of it, the dollars coming in, the dollars going out, so that you can still have the joy of cooking barbecue. And then, when there's money in your pocket, sales really kills any problems, right, that you have. So, but when you're doing the art and, you're saying you're doing 14, 16-hour cook, there's a, thunderstorm or there's a tornado hits, and you're like, oh, I have all this food. And like, that kills. Right? That hurts a little bit. That
fucking hurts. Yeah. Chicago weather. That's just sometimes just as bad as the policies that kind of make us struggle a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I dealt with hail and there's wind blowing inside my firebox. I'm trying to block it, but I can't. I'm like, let's let this ride. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's like, can you make it work financially? And what can you do? Who do you guys have for support? Not in terms of like a financial, anything financial, but like, hey, I have a problem, or this is my concept, or I'm thinking about doing this. Who do you guys have as like a sounding board that can be like, hey, I don't think that's the best idea that you should do, or like, hey, I think that's a great idea. You should continue to do that. You guys, when you guys first started thinking about the concept, same with you, Shawn, when you were starting to think about it, like, what, who do you have to lean on, and who do you lean on today and talk to?
That's probably been one of my bigger missteps, is that I did this in the wrong order. I didn't really have those. All of my mentors and whatnot came from elsewhere, and there wasn't direct contact. Had I actually taken the time to spend some time in restaurants and really understand the business side of things, mine was just a hobby that just absolutely got out of control. And before you knew it, I was just in the thick of it. And year after year after year, we were essentially just reacting. The biggest thing for me, it would have been like, I wish I would have figured out a way to dip my toe in the water before I just dove in and didn't check the depth. And we did the best we could given the circumstances, but yeah, it's it's hard. It's hard. Like if your end game is a restaurant in Chicago and you're not talking in the millions, then you're just not even talking about it, because that's just the reality of it. And that was where we had to come to terms with it, because when our long-term residency ended and that went south, we pivoted back to the pop-ups. We rode that as long as we could. And we just realized, like Charles had said before, that like, you know, the passion wasn't meeting the profits for a variety of reasons. We had commissary kitchen issues, this and the other, and eventually it's just the juice isn't worth the squeeze. It's like, so that's, you know, that's why it's actually been very recent for me kind of pivoting out of the pop-ups and the long-term residencies, and I've completely flip-flopped in the last like 60 days, you know, but I'm still working in barbecue and I'm still happy with that. But yeah, there's definitely some bittersweet, you know, things that come along with that when you put so much effort in over 6-7 years and it doesn't come to fruition. But that's a risk that you have to be willing to take. And as I said before, there's no regrets, like way more positive than negative, but to not acknowledge the negative, you're doing a disservice to yourself.
I don't know. For like us, like I'm looking at you guys and it's like, you guys are kind of the folks that kind of paved the road for us, and we're the beneficiaries of that, because, you know, just in the craft of it, of just doing traditional barbecue, Texas style, in the city of Chicago, and there's really, in the city, like I don't see anybody else. But for us to be able to launch this as K-TEX and have 2 individuals that we can feed off of, and you guys are like, you know, solid with us, it's definitely a different picture than I'm assuming that you guys started off with absolutely nobody in the field.
Did you guys start with any partners?
I have a couple partners.
Yeah.
And my thing was, you know, I can do the barbecue technique. And also shout out to YouTube. I think YouTube helps tremendously with the different influencers, you know, Mad Scientist Barbecue. We got Joey M, Knox Avenue Barbecue. I'm certainly going to miss a couple other people. But people just showing their craft, and you kind of looking at it, okay, that's what it should look like, or let me try that and maybe I'll put my own spin on it. But I knew that, you know, I knew I had the passion for it. I knew I could do good barbecue. What I was missing was, okay, the restaurant business acumen. Like I was in finance before, so I understand numbers a little bit. I can build a spreadsheet and reports, but what I was missing is, okay, what else do I need? And, you know, I talked to Thomas and Andy over at Perilla. I launched my first pop-up there. It was a month before the shutdown. We didn't know that was going to happen. But they kept helping me, and we kept talking every week. And they're like, you should consider this, you should consider that. And then I realized at some point, I'm like, you know, I need them to be part of Umamicue, because I can't do this alone. You know, it doesn't have to be sweat equity. It doesn't have to be labor that they're helping me slice the brisket or whatever the case may be. But their knowledge and their experience in restaurants in general has been such a huge help in understanding the business. And also, you know, we're looking to start a brick and mortar, right? And right now we're at this stage where we're talking with the architect, we're negotiating with the landlord, we're trying to figure out, hey, what's the next steps, because there's so many pieces that you have to put together. And we had a meeting this morning and we're like, you know, what's the menu going to look like? Well, it's based on the space and how much space we have for the kitchen, where equipment's going to go. And we're like, okay, great. And they're like, well, how are you doing with your menu? Because we'll always say, okay, like, let's focus on this, and the next week let's talk about it. I'm like, you know, I'm spinning my wheels on the menu right now because I have so many ideas, and I know that I need to dial it back 100%. They're like, yeah, you need to dial that back. We'll help you dial that back. And, you know, looking at the residencies that we had, and the advice they gave me at the time was like, don't do the second location yet, you know, focus on your first location. And I'm like, no, everything's great. I'm just gonna do this. And, you know, they were right, because my time was spent on the new location, focusing on how to make that profitable. We had some issues, as issues always come up, right? If you don't have any issues, you're like, is this still real or not? You know, so having them just be my mentors and being able to, hey, I have this dish, this is what I'm going to serve, give it to them, and then they're like, hey, I don't give a shit about your feelings. And I'm like, that's what I want you to be very critical in what we're doing, because if I don't understand your point of view from trying my food, I'm not going to know. I don't know what I know, right? And so when they're able to break down this dish and be like, okay, were you really thinking about this? Or, this is not how it should taste, should it? Like, or, hey, I'm getting, hints of this or hints of that. And it really makes me think, it really challenges me, given that I don't have a restaurant background.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I just do barbecue.
Right.
And you're like, oh, well, we could do barbecue well. But yeah, we have had a lot of practice with barbecue in our backyards.
Yeah.
Right? But
I think that's the common ground for all of us.
Yeah,
right?
but we don't have that practice in the restaurant.
Or in the
restaurant
culinary
setting.
space of like
and that's
barbecue.
that's a different ballgame.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look about trying to expand and trying to grow, you have to understand, like, hey, how can I get a number 2? In your case, it'll be number 3, or in your case, number 2, number 3. Like, the boss will dictate that. But
no, good help is hard to find.
Right? How can I get that person to understand what we're trying to do, so that, because we've all built our brands individually, we are the shepherds, we are the drivers of that, and you can't work in your business, you have to work on your business. And when you have to do the barbecue, you're working in your business, you're not working on your business. Unless you just don't sleep at all, which I don't recommend. I've done that route and it's taken years off my life, I think. I should look younger than Victor right now, but I don't. So that's because of all the hours we put in. But so, I'm like, hey, if I'm the most successful person at Umamicue without any restaurant experience, I'm going to fail. So I found, Thomas and Andy, they're like, gave them a little bit of equity. They're like, oh, we would have done this for free. I was like, I know, but you guys have skin in the game now. And we're going to really build this as best as we can. We might hit a home run, we might fail, but me knowing that, hey, I need to give control up to, I know what I like, but that doesn't necessarily mean that everybody likes that. And they have a pretty good idea. They've been through the ringer. They have, decades of experience on what works, what doesn't, and they're still learning today, and we're learning together. And I would, recommend that you guys, find some people like that. Yeah. Whether it's like Francis at Conan, Dave Bonner, Green Street, like these are people that have tons of experience, that have gone through so much, and they've survived. I think of how many people that we know that tried restaurants or whatever and failed. And I'm sure, they've failed before, but they're still here and they're still working, and, they're successful, and that's very rare.
Yeah. I mean, just piggybacking off of what you're saying, it's like just out the gate, just the connections we made, with Ryan from Novel. Him and I were nurses together. I precepted him actually when he was a new nurse at St. Francis, and we would be in the garage at the VA. We work together at the VA now, downtown, but we'd be in the garage just talking about, like, my barbecue, his pizzas and whatnot, and he was doing pop-ups here and there. And then Novel is kind of, a legit pizza shop.
I love Novel. So good
in the city. And for him, he also didn't hold back for me. He was able to just, hey, here's Francis, meet up with him, getting me connected with a lot of people, even with, the Mars crew, with Ed, and, even with Kimski at Chef One, and just everyone that we've been meeting with is just been definitely a plus for us. And we've been reaching out to them, and they've been giving us a lot of, like, insight in addition to you guys. And I think that's a good thing that what you're telling us. We'll take that into consideration of just
there's a handful of people that I have in mind that kind of fit the description of how people from Perillo were mentors for you.
Yeah.
Something that we need to probably
kind of
do a better job at maintaining and making sure we ask the right questions.
I mean, low key, like Julius from Conan, he's the one I would honestly say like put us like out there, like really exposed us when we did the collab with the smoke show with the pork belly masubi that he did, and he just gave us a chance. I went to the Wiener Wars at the patio at Perilla, and I just walked up to Julius and I'd be like, hey, Ryan said, hey, just reach out to you and see if you want to do anything. And he saw some pictures from us that we posted on Instagram, and he was like, let's go, let's do this. And then we ran it back a handful of times with them, and just I think you're right, like just being able to like tap into them and continue building relationship with them is super. No, go ahead.
Menu wise though, we haven't, it's just been us. Like he's I'm my worst critic, and then he's my second worst critic, and then vice versa, right? That said, because we're in the pop-up game and we're doing a lot of collabs, it's been whoever we're collabing with is bringing out the most creativity out of us. But beyond that, like, I think we need to have a more systemized approach. Like, how are we getting feedback for the shit we put on a plate? I think that's something that we should definitely work on.
I mean, out of everyone at this table, I'm the worst at collabs. So, and I've had some killer ones, don't get me wrong, but like I can't, Charles has worked with so many different people. I mean, the Monday Night Football collab, I had no idea how great Margaret was and what they were doing until I got to work with them. And then between that, Charles, Shaker, Joe, I know I'm missing someone there, but I mean, it's just, you guys have all been killing the collabs, like, whereas we lean more into the residency in like one spot and like hyper focused.
I mean, there's no money in collabs though. Like, you're not. I mean, it's not like we're going broke off of collabs, but sometimes you don't really make a profit on collabs. It's the exposure that we're kind of investing in.
It's true.
It's like shared audiences / new audiences. They're fun, and I think we need to continue to do that. But once we're in the I think we're going to be very similar to how you've approached it. It's like we need to make sure that we excel in our residency and do a good job there as like a priority, and then while trying to do some collabs here and there.
Well, here's a question for you guys. It's like, so we were talking offline before we went live. Was we are in this place of possibly starting a residency soon, but then you also brought up a point of like doing pop-ups as long as possible, probably like collabs as long as possible. Like, is there a balance that we can do? Like, because obviously, like, we don't want to overstack the week or the month, because we have a daily once a week residency, but on top of that we want to still build these relationships and do these collabs.
I don't personally want to talk people out of doing residencies, just because I've had some experiences that have left a bad taste in my mouth. Because there's pros and cons to all of it. When you're doing one-off pop-ups, there's more of a demand. It's more special. Like, whereas when people are like, oh, you can get it 4 or 5 days a week, I don't have to be there on this Tuesday or this Wednesday or whatever, because I'll just catch them on the back end. Is like, so, but on the flip side, there is definitely an advantage to it being like, when I want this, I know I go here and that's where it is. It's like, and the unfortunate thing is the only way you can figure out what works for you is to do it. So I don't try and talk anyone out of doing any certain thing, because I'm not going to say that I had a blueprint for success because clearly I'm not doing it anymore.
Maybe that's the successful part, actually.
Touche.
Yeah,
Touche.
I think I think your mileage may vary. It's really up to the individual. Like do you pros and cons, like Shawn was saying, to both of them. But really quickly, can you guys talk about this residency? Can you guys give us any information? If not, no worries. We're live.
I didn't talk to someone about sharing it, but it's pretty, verbally at least, it's pretty locked, and it's coming up very soon.
It's awesome.
And it's in Chicago. I'll say it's in a bakery.
Ooh, all right.
But yeah, it'll be likely once. It's not exclusive to being once a week, but I think we've decided that we're gonna limit it to once a week to make sure that at least we have our ops right.
Yeah.
And then consider expanding more slowly.
Yeah, I think that's the smart way to go. But kind of going back to,
I can't imagine straight off the rip 4 days a week.
Yeah, I couldn't either.
It's a crazy man here.
That's
Yeah, that's wild.
How many people were on your staff when you did that?
5 or 6.
Okay.
I had friends and family helping out too.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, that Kimski residency set the precedent for everything else we did. We did like 21 days of service in December, and we sold out like 18 of the days.
I mean, you did well that year, though.
Yeah. No. Bridgeport showed us love, and also having Pauline on the patio at Maria's definitely garnered a little of attention.
The show, yeah.
That's definitely.
Thankfully, not the kind of attention I was hoping not to get. Ask for forgiveness, not permission.
Yeah. So, kind of going back to, pop-up versus residency, right? You guys kind of, if you're doing once a week, it's kind of a pop-up.
It kind of feels like a pop-up. Yeah.
So the pros and cons of a residency versus a pop-up. Pop-ups are very difficult for me because I have to just transport everything.
Yeah,
there.
logistically.
You don't know what you're going to get there. If they have a kitchen, great. If they don't, let's say, then things can happen where they're like, hey, we have a kitchen. You walk in the kitchen and there could be stuff on the counters and everything, and like you can't really utilize it. So it's like, well, why did you tell me you had a kitchen if I can't use it? It's really pointless. Right? With the residency, you'll
always know what you have.
You'll know what you have, but you'll also be able to keep things there, so you don't have to transport things back and forth. Right? So, and the person that is your landlord or sharing the space with you, there's a lot of synergies there where you could collab. You could also have them, their regulars will also become your regulars. They're going to try your food. So there's built-in marketing with that. I think for choosing which one works, I think it's what your preference is, what your goals are. If your goal is to make money, I think you want to be open as many times as you can, 4 days a week, right? If you're just trying to get exposure, I think 1 day a week is pretty good to start, and then you can kind of build that, build the momentum up into, okay, maybe we could do 2 days a week, 3 days a week, 4 days a week, what that looks like. So it's really, and you guys have jobs outside of barbecue, so that also makes it a little bit difficult. So your time is really what is going to either make or break you. So you got to spend your time wisely, and I think your commute is pretty bad, right?
Yeah, our commute is. I mean, we live out in the northwest suburbs. So,
so
I mean, that's even a question for us too. Ultimately, at the end, it's like, hey, do we make a solid noise in the city, and can we open up shop in the burbs and draw out folks to like a kind of destination joint out, just like or New Village Gastropub. It's like people are willing to drive from the city to go check them out over there. So it's like, are we going to play that game where there's a little bit less restrictions on what we can do with, how we cook, versus the city has shown us crazy love. Like it's, you post something, hey, we're going to pop up here, and the next thing you know, like they're there. People show up, and knock on wood, we've been blessed to the point of we're not taking food home. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, my brother, like when we talk about it, the suburbs, I think it could be a long-term play. Chicago is where we're gonna make a name. I mean, we won't succeed if we start in the burbs, right? At least I personally don't think there's enough demand in the burbs where we'd be able to grow organically like this. Where you can't a pop-up only business won't survive in the burbs, in my opinion. So like you have to. The way we approached
have to go
it,
brick and mortar, like
out the gate or something like along those lines. We've been able to do very minimal investment into this idea, and continue to do the minimal investment to keep it growing, because I think partly, you know, Chicago has been showing us love, and Chicago has, you know, the density of people. So
Yeah,
we're here, we're locked.
We thought about going to the suburbs, and that was the original plan until this spot popped up, this opportunity. The reason for the suburbs is, you know, the rules are more relaxed.
Oh yeah.
You could cook outside if you want to, and if you want to bootstrap this, throw your 500 out there, start cooking, and then when you build up
and figure it out,
the capital, I'm like, okay, now we can start improving the space. There's a thing said to. You go to one suburb, whether it's North Shore, Northwest suburbs, or even the western suburbs, like people think about the competition out there. There's not much out there.
Yeah.
Right. So you're already going to take a portion of, you know, oh, this is barbecue and this is Texas style barbecue. Well, we've never had that before. Let's try it. So you'll have people that are in the neighborhood that are going to want your food, and you have zero competition.
Exclusive supply, right?
Yeah, like you don't have much competition. And if you're part of that community too, like people want to support that. You think about a city in, it's called Highwood. Have you guys heard of Highwood? All right, so it's very far up north. It's right by Highland Park.
Yeah.
You have places like Avec going in there.
Yeah.
Places that are there that they're gonna support the local boy that recently had some publicity and press. Like great food too, right? And it's like, hey, you could survive out there. And for, you know, a hot minute, our idea was, let's go to the suburbs, let's get established, let's make our money, and then we could always come back to the city with a smaller stall because space is at a premium.
Yeah.
You know, so every dollar that you pay, go ahead.
Do you feel like you could have done that without first making a name in the city? Because like Umamicue is a name, like a lot of people know you.
I think so. I think we got some pretty good press. We were pretty lucky. But I think if you know, a lot of places, you know, start out in the suburbs. You look at Prairie Grass Cafe, Sarah Stegner, 30 years or whatever the case may be, has built a name for herself, you know, and
Is she doing pop-ups?
No, she's established restaurant.
Oh, okay, brick and mortar.
Yeah, very good food, delicious, great service, and there are places out there that, hey, this is our vibe, this is what we're doing. Less competition, better prices in terms of your expenses, and really people want to support because they're not going to go out to the city, right? They're like, hey, I'm going to stay in my area, and I'm so glad that you guys are here. Yeah. And that's what they want to support. You look at Station 1 barbecue, right? Like the guy was Green Street before Dave Bonner. And started Station 1 out there, 2 locations. Yeah. Right.
And ironically enough, he went to Plainfield and ran into the same shit there. So then he had to go to Yorkville before he could even use a offset.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But there's definitely
or Chicago Culinary Kitchen ain't in Chicago.
Yeah, it's not.
It's true.
It's in our the neighborhood that I live in. So it's like.
But you know, also we all look and measure success based off of what we see on social media. Right? We don't have the numbers. We don't have the hard numbers. Someone could, you know, be like, hey, everything's great, but internally it's like you're hanging on by a thread. So we don't know who's really killing it, who's really printing money at the same time, because we have to, you know, be positive, because no one wants to be negative on social media. And hey, come to our fucking place. This sucks. Like that's not a, you know.
How do we make that?
I'm really
positive?
exaggerating, but you know, you don't know, and you know, some people will get real with you, which is great too, which I appreciate. A majority is like you have to sell every single day.
Yeah.
You know, because if you're not going to sell and you're not going to post, someone else is going to do that, and they're going to take attention away from what you're going to do, essentially.
Yeah, it's one thing to be in the burbs and you're competing with a Texas Roadhouse as opposed to you're in Chicago with 6,000 of the best restaurants in the world.
So when are we all going to open up a restaurant in the burbs?
I was always saying that we open up a commissary, we take brisket shifts, right?
Yeah.
The brisket, and then we do our own thing with what we're gonna do: Korean, Chinese,
like a
Mexican.
food court type
my brother had he went to Texas like 2 years ago, maybe it was a year and a half ago, and he went to like it's cul-de-sac, or how would you say, a parking lot?
So it's you guys. I'm assuming. I'm sure you guys been there, but it's like these. There's a bar, right? That's the brick and mortar, but then it's surrounded. They kind of like lease out the land, and it's surrounded by food trucks.
Yeah.
And so it's like everyone has to get the drinks from that brick and mortar bar, like whatnot. But then you get your foods from that, so it's like kind of like a little semi like community.
It's
of
an
like,
outdoor food hall.
Exactly, it's an outdoor.
Was it Meanwhile? Meanwhile Brewing. Distant Relatives is there.
You know, I can't remember. I went.
Well,
I was.
It's
I wasn't.
Texas.
I
There's a lot of places that are like that.
But that would be so dope.
But it was
like
this community, and I was like, man, if we could do something like that in the city, but. Then again,
the winters would be
worst weather, ever.
We're like, dang, that we dreamed about it for like an hour, and then we're like, oh shoot.
Well, also Chicago hates food trucks and food trailers almost as much as they hate barbecue.
I'm talking about the burbs. We'll leave the Chicago zip code out of it.
But that's the thing. It's like people from Chicago are willing to go to the burbs, but not majority of the time people in the burbs want to go into the city to get,
Depends on which burb.
That's fair.
Right,
yeah, that's fair.
What were we talking about before?
we're just kind of vibing, whatever comes, to our mind. Anything that you guys are wanting to talk about that we haven't touched so far?
I mean, since this is a group, a barbecue group here, and I'm sure we can all agree, like, it'd be nice if it grows, right? Like this table grows, where we have 10 mics 2 years down the line or 10 years down the line.
Just like, oh God, I gotta.
I mean, like, why don't we? What's missing to get that? Like, just from a community standpoint, like we all connected via social media or DMs, right? Like we actually actively reached out either to you or vice versa, right? There's no like association or like event that kind of naturally brings craft barbecue guys together, or is there? Like, or should we pose something in the future? Like, how do we work better together? As Chicago, like, not the representatives, but like representatives of like Chicago barbecue, right?
Yeah, I think that's really tough because there are different styles, and Chicago's kind of like a mishmash. Right? You have Green Street, which is Texas style barbecue. You got Lamb's, Honey One. You have Smoke, which is different regional barbecue, where they took the best out of like Kansas City, Carolinas. You have Soul and Smoke that they're doing their version of Chicago barbecue. They're going to be more fine dining as well, which is really exciting. So there are different places of different barbecue restaurants, different styles. And I'm sure that we're all going through the same thing. We're all trying to figure out our costs. Right. We're all trying to figure out labor. Those are things.
And there's a love of meat, right?
Yeah. And so, rising costs and everything, that's every restaurant that's going through that now. We just happen to be in more of a Texas style barbecue style where we think that this is the best barbecue. Right?
But if we were to take that hat off and just say, because you can't, as diverse as the barbecue scene is in Chicago, there's no unifying force that's bringing us all together, right? It would be awesome if it were. Like, is it worth even considering thinking about like, what can we do as a group here to kind of make that happen stronger, or like be the creating force for some kind of unity beyond, just knowing about each other, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I honestly think that the biggest thing there is to just continue to support other people that are doing it. Like even as you guys were on your way in, as I was on my way out, it's like it doesn't change anything. It's like I don't want any of my experiences to discourage y'all from pursuing what you're doing, because what I did is not what you're going to do. And there's going to be someone who comes behind that, and all you can do is just continue to pay it forward. It's a snowball effect. There's no one answer to any of it. You're trying to do a really hard type of cuisine that requires a ridiculous time commitment in a city that's oversaturated with diners, and you're also in a political climate that's making everything harder on everyone at the moment. So the only thing you can do is just keep plugging it away, make sure the food continues to be good, and to continue to support the people that support you and the people that are coming behind you in any way, shape, or form. It's like don't make yourself bigger than the bigger picture. It's like at the end of the day, it's just barbecue. It's just food.
That's fair.
It's like, true. It's just service. It's like, so whether you're serving customers or you're serving the community, as long as you're serving somebody and you're serving them in a positive manner, then that's all that really matters at the end of the day. Yeah, I think everything will just kind of work itself out from there. At least that's what I keep telling myself.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're doing that right now. Right, we're doing that right now with bouncing ideas off of each other, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work, and me and Shawn or whoever else does pop-ups. Like you can take it or leave it with our advice. But this is our experience, and take that with a grain of salt. Be like, maybe that's not us. Maybe what happened to Charles, what happened to Shawn is going to be different. Or hey, this is something I didn't think about. That's great, and then you're that much further ahead of the game. You didn't have to spend that time to learn, what we learned, what we went through, right? So I think just keeping an open mind, being flexible, and understanding that everything's going to change, and there's going to be a constant. How can you adapt and change so that you're still pushing forward of what you guys are doing? I think being true to yourself, and also making sure that you understand who you guys are and what you guys do. I think that's important. I think for a while that we didn't have that. Like we were a little bit lost in terms of what are we doing here at this point, where we couldn't do what we wanted to do. We were just trying to have commerce, and it's like we lost track of who we are and what we do. And it's like now I'm back to, okay, who are we? What do we do? Every decision that I make has to fit in one of those buckets of, we have like 5 pillars of what we want to do: community, best barbecue, be creative, and also set, some really like a positive work environment and really challenge people. So if I'm doing something that does not align with those values, then I have to really take a look and be like, why the hell am I doing this? Right? Knowing your why too. Like, why are we doing this? I think that's important, because there's a life outside of barbecue, and Shawn, I think I was telling you this, where I'm like, hey, I'm trying to open up a barbecue restaurant right now. There's a lot of pressure. But, the one thing that rules this all is my wife. If I can't spend time with her and I'm super successful in this barbecue place, does it really, am I fulfilled? And like, no. So I went to her and I was like, hey, listen, we've been at this for a few years now. I need to know what your temperature is. Because if you're not feeling what I'm doing, then I need to pivot, because none of this matters. Like her and the family eventually that will start is more important than barbecue, more important than anything else for me. Absolutely. And I would encourage you guys to also think about that. It's like, hey, I'm getting all these great, we've been there where we're getting like accolades, we're getting a lot of noise, and we're feeling good about what we're doing. But at the end of the day, it's like, what's really important to you in your personal life? Because if you're willing to be like, hey, barbecue is my number one priority, then you're in the right spot and you're doing what you want to do. And like everything else is just noise. But if there's something that's overruling that, take a hard look, communicate with whatever that is, make sure that you guys are on the same page, because you could find the success. But, I've been there too, where we were like really successful, but, home life was a little bit rough because I wasn't there. and we grew a little bit apart because I was working all the time. And when I was able to take a step back last year and really think about what was important, I was like, okay, the priority is my family, my future family. So I would encourage you guys to think about that.
It's a hard question to ask yourself.
Yeah, and you don't have to answer it right now.
Oh yeah,
but you just kind of think about that, and you're like, what really matters,
Yeah.
Well, that's also one of the reasons I've specifically been so transparent with you guys. It's not to discourage you in any way, shape, or form, but it's a lot easier to avoid the pothole when you know where the fuck it is.
Yeah, and it's been a huge help, like from both of you guys, just being straight up with us, like, hey, this is where those speed bumps are, like, so avoid them. And we're kind of reaping the benefits. And obviously, we'll still run into walls and deal with those issues. But at the end of the day, we've heard it, and so I think we're gung-ho. We're definitely on a high right now. I mean, you guys are all probably experienced through this, like, just the amount of noise that we were able to create we started last, November or October, and just to be able to create this kind of momentum, kind of sometimes we don't, maybe like kind of like blurs the vision a little bit, where it's like, oh, it's going great.
I think you just John Cena'd me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like blurs the vision, where you're like, okay, there are these things that you gotta, watch out for. And then we have, individuals like you two just being a bit like, hey, watch out for this stuff.
Yeah. Have you found peace with, obviously it sucks that you have to close your establishment, right? But there's also the silver lining in it. Have you found peace with what you're doing?
Most definitely. I mean, also, I'm very fortunate in the fact that, like, we managed to leave on our own terms and are relatively financially undamaged. I mean, we didn't really make anything, but we didn't really lose anything. So we were able to just support our lifestyle for a matter of years. And, it presented a lot of great opportunities that, we wouldn't have had otherwise. So back to what I was saying before, there's absolutely no regrets. But to say that the last couple of months has been easy, absolutely not. I mean, I told people all along that, like, if I'm not doing this anymore, I went out on my shield, like, 100% effort until there was nothing left. And that's where I got to. It's just like, once we finally got our spots lined up, then our commissary kitchen became a problem, and then real estate became a problem, and it's just mental health became a problem. And I'm like, the juice was no longer worth the squeeze. We had an opportunity to pull the chute and get out, and that's exactly what we did. So if you would have talked to me 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, probably would have been a completely different conversation. But right now I feel good about what we did and what we've done, and I'm happy to see what people are going to do when they take that rock and go further with it.
I am upset that I can't get your barbecue on the weekends when I have to work my shift.
I mean, you can. You just got to come over to the West now, baby. Get yourself a burger or a sausage. Guarantee you I touch it.
Great sausage. Are we out of time, or can I ask more questions?
You can ask more questions.
Yeah. I feel like
I'm Victor today.
I feel like we talked a lot about, the business side of things, how it affects the lifestyle, etc. We haven't really talked about like the meats and what we've done, maybe even menu items. And I have a bunch of like questions. And
sure.
I wanted to start with sauces. Oddly enough, how have you guys, or if you have, infused more smoke into your sauces without, let's say, using like a protein to actually like put into it or anything like that? Or what is your way of, like, have you guys tried to make a smoky sauce?
I haven't personally. I know Chicago BBQ, there's a little liquid smoke in there, like the barbecue sauce. I think if I'm smoking my meat or I'm smoking a protein or whatever the case may be, that that flavor is going to travel.
Yeah.
So then my sauce becomes pretty basic in terms of I just want to let the meat shine, get the smoke, and just be in harmony with the sauce a little bit. You know.
Okay, so I mean, which makes sense, right? You're typically serving with a smoked dish, so you know your sauce, you're not really worrying about it. But if you had to, do you have any ideas? Anything you heard about?
I honestly think that the smoky element to a barbecue sauce has come from like the Midwestern, like freaking Chili's baby back ribs. It's like where the only smoke element on the ribs at
is
all
the sauce.
is
the
the
sauce,
sauce.
right? Yeah.
So for me personally, I feel like in good barbecue, there's enough of a smoky element. I don't need to add it to everything, especially the sauce. The sauce is actually supposed to cut the smoke. It's supposed to, like, you know, just basically confuse the palate almost. Like if you're getting palate fatigue, all right, now I'll go for the sauce.
It's like a palate cleanser, like the ginger and what you get, you know,
or
for
the pickled
sushi.
condiments, or any of the other variety of things. But it's never occurred to me to dial up the smoke on any sauce, pretty much ever.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, but you know, that's just what we prefer. And you know, if you prefer, hey, I want to put some smoke in the sauce, like.
Well, it came up because of a collab more than anything. Where
who is it? No, just kidding.
But you know, one of the things is because we're craft barbecue and we struggle with making a really good kalbi sauce, right? And not that smoke needs to be in it, but a certain meat element needs to be in it, because that flavor you get when you actually cook kalbi over either open flame or something, it caramelizes things, it changes things, and then that the drippings, the sauce, is what all Koreans remember as like, oh, this is kalbi. And how do you replicate that without obviously just doing a bunch of kalbi and just making a sauce independently of the kalbi? And that's the challenge that we've been trying to like problem solve. And one of the maybe avenues that I've been going down recently is like, okay, maybe we add a smoky element to it, to the base sauce, to maybe get closer to kalbi. But I was seeing if I can workshop that with you guys a little bit.
I think when you get the kalbi, you're putting it on the grill, right? Whether it's
usually a grill,
charcoal or gas, and you're getting the char, so there's a little bit of different flavor. You know, if whatever you're cooking with that, if you're smoking it, you're gonna get the smokiness. What if you hit it with a blowtorch, so you get that like char on there? So then that'll give you the smokiness and the char that you're looking for. I think those are two different things.
Blowtorch a bunch of sauce. Do you think that would work?
Oh, no, blowtorch the protein, the final product.
Oh, after you sauce it.
Yeah. Another way to look at it too is like, if you have your sauce, if there's not too much sugar in there, take a piece of coal and throw it in there.
We've heard about that one, and like cover it, and overnight that like transforms the sauce. We haven't tried that yet.
Yeah, so that'll work too.
Have you tried it?
I've done many different techniques where I'm charring all the veggies.
we tried a shit ton of stuff
before we blend it to make a sauce. But I'm the charcoal, like throwing a charcoal in it. We've been told that, but I haven't tried that out before. But it's a very like finite technical like thing that we're trying to get a hold of. Which
what does the end product look like?
Well, it'd be a sauce for. I know you typically don't do it, but like it's a sauce for brisket, right? It'll be served on the side. We don't want to like. I wouldn't ever serve it on a brisket and then blowtorch it. You know what I mean? Like that. I feel like that would be.
Because I'm thinking like short rib, where it's it's more forgiving for that. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I suppose now that I'm thinking about it, in terms of our actual sauces, like barbecue sauces, we never really did much of that. But for Lenore's salsas, those incorporated like live fire elements,
like burnt poblano peppers and stuff like that.
Just throw it in the firebox, get everything
yeah.
toasty before it hits the blender. So the tomatillos, the romas, the jalapenos, the poblanos, whatever's going in said salsa usually would hit the smoker or some form of live fire before its final. But salsas are entirely different to me than barbecue sauces.
Because that's a whole different.
Because you have like you could probably smoke the sesame oil like because the fat is going to kind of overtake a lot of things, or smoke the pears if you have pears in there. I'm just guessing. I don't know your recipe.
I mean, I think also like we need to figure out how to caramelize it in mass, right? Like a large quantity, in the right way. It's a tricky problem. Like one day, like I think I want to invite you guys and we just make the sauce and then
make
you
it
guys
our
damn,
our future commissary.
Let's figure
is what
this
we're
out.
doing, right?
Yeah.
Future commissary. Let's go.
Yeah, no, that's a. I love doing stuff like that, kind of thinking about how can we incorporate certain things and sauces and things like that. So we could talk after and mess around with it too.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. Yeah, but Shawn, what about you? What's on your mind? What's keeping you up at night? Like where's Heffer BBQ going? Where's Heffer BBQ at? Tell us a little bit about that.
Truthfully, these days there's a lot less keeping me up at night, and I don't miss that. Honestly, I'm not worrying about invoices. I'm not worrying about vendors. I'm not worrying about payroll. I'm not worrying.
So your life is better, you're saying? Right?
No, it's
You won.
I get to exchange my labor for straight cash again for the first time in half a decade, and it's fantastic.
There's money in your pocket.
Not yet. I'm still too new. They haven't cut that check yet. It's coming though.
How long have you been?
I'm in the middle of my second week.
Okay,
so
got you.
I'm very much in the thick of it.
Got you. What do you mind if I ask what your shifts are looking like? Like, how do they?
It's right now. I'm just pretty much straight 9 to 5er.
Oh, for real? That's nice.
Yeah, I get to come in the morning. I get to build a fire with someone else's fire. It's very Texan.
Dude,
I'm digging it.
Awesome.
What the hell do you do with your free time? Then is the question. Right?
I'm here, right? Podcasting about memories past and whatnot. I haven't. It's all still too fresh for me. I don't know what this new chapter really looks like.
Yeah.
I just know I get a great deal of satisfaction in what I'm doing every day. I'm still very much involved in the barbecue community, working for one of the best restaurants in the city, like just doing numbers that I didn't even know were fathomable. So just seeing, like to bring it back around to the question of like who are my mentors originally. It's like I had mentors in that people I looked at and I idolized and I wanted to be like and replicate. It's like, but I didn't have them like giving me that energy back. It's like I've had people that have supported me all along, but now like I can see where I was making missteps. And if I mess something up, I have multiple people. It's like Office Space. Like, did you get the memo? It's like so. Now I'm getting to sort of just, it's a completely different element of the same craft. I get to do all of the fun barbecue stuff without all of the not so much fun. I'm great at barbecue. I'm terrible at business. It's a completely different skill set. Like you said, if you're working for your business, you're not working on your business. And it's a difficult thing to figure out the balance of. And I'm still figuring that out to this day. Like I said, if you would have talked to me 3 weeks ago, feel completely different. Talk to me in another 3 weeks, probably going to feel completely different again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the point I think too is that you don't have to do it alone, right? You don't have to be great at business or you don't have to be great at barbecue. But if you find someone that is great at what your weaknesses are and, you guys are jumping on board, that's great harmony, I think. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, you can find people like that and like it works out really well.
And that's why I'm glad that you were able to find that, because that's something that I've been searching for all along. It's not like we weren't looking for it. It just never happened. Even the people that we worked with, some were great, some weren't. I'll let y'all figure out which ones are which. And yeah,
you know who you are.
Yes, you do. But yeah, it's just, you absolutely cannot do it alone, and I never did. It's like it's been me and my wife along the way, and there have been many, many, many people that have helped us along the journey as well. It's like, but like you were saying before, I didn't really have that mentor to be like, hey, you're misstepping, you're messing up. It's like everyone looked from the outside and assumed we were killing it. At no point were we truly killing it. It's like we survived. Is like, and that's the main reason that I ended up stepping away. Is like I was tired of surviving and not thriving, So it's just like, let me figure out something completely different to do, at least for the time being.
On the flip side of things, it's like my brother and I started this together, right? But we're learning
how to work with each
how
other.
to work with each other.
Yeah.
That's
which is not something we've ever had to do in 30 plus years, right?
Right. It's more like, hey, my older brother's, asking me to do something, so let me do it. And then now it's like we're dealing with those like frictions.
You got the power.
Yeah.
So you're so used to bigger brother telling little brother what to do.
Now we have to deal with the whole like the business aspect of it, right? Like he's my partner, so it's like there's this steep learning curve that we've been going through where it's like like we're just clicking, like we're going, and then the next thing you know, there's some little things here and there where you're like, yo, that's not what I thought about, and that's not what you said and whatnot, and so you're just dealing with those things. So we're trying to develop these like SOPs with each other to be able to have a working relationship as a family. So
it's
at the
totally
end,
different. I mean, everyone says don't work with your family, right? Or don't go into business with your family.
Yeah.
Now I can see like there are reasons why people say that, and you have to negotiate your way through that. We're figuring that out, and hopefully we get out of it in a great way. But having a partner, in general, I don't think I could do this without my brother. Like,
I don't know how you guys.
I don't know how you guys did it alone.
Yeah,
or
I mean, not that you guys were alone, but it's like, it's. You guys were like the. I mean,
the
you guys
burden of it, like on mostly your one person's shoulders, is crazy. Right?
Yeah.
Now that I look back,
and that's why I did a bunch of collabs. Because it took the burden away from having to do all those things. I think a cautionary tale about working with your family. Talk about Brad from Station 1.
Yeah.
He worked with his brother, and now he's no longer there at Station 1. And there was friction, and they can't really talk to each other, and the business is up for sale. But I think when you're dealing with family, there's a lot of personal things that you're carrying, some personal baggage that when you were kids, like this is just the way it was, right? Like no one had knowledge of. No one's trying to screw each other. It's just kind of how it happened, and you guys learn from that. You guys mature. I think understanding that, hey, let's say Sam, you're trying to tell Steven something, and Steven's like, is he telling me this because I'm younger and he's trying to tell me what to do? Fuck that guy. Or is this what he's telling me to do is because this is right for the business? Is that's what we're trying to do? Yeah. I think framing it that way is like, okay, trust that, hey, this is for the business. Like, this is not hey, this is what happened when we were younger. You guys are all pushing from the same side, and you guys all have the same goal, right? So it's like, get there if you can, and just put that personal shit aside. I tell that to anybody, and if my wife was like, hey, we should do this, or she's critical of something, I'm like, okay, let me think about that. Like, let me think about where it is. Like, now my ego coming in and saying like, no, I do this like every day, and like you're just coming in, and whatever the case may be, is like, hey, take a step back and calm down if it was something that was triggering to me, and be like, hey, from an outsider's perspective, what does this look like? Is this really how I am perceiving this, or is this what reality is, or is this just something that I made up in my head because my ego got too big or something like that? So
yeah, it's one of those where if something's brought up and it stings, it's probably because there's some freaking truth to it, and you really need to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
But that said, I certainly never did this alone. Like, this would have never lasted 6-7 years without Lenore's input at all.
For sure.
Yeah.
She's a rock star.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, like, did you when you first started those 4 days, right? Did you smoke all 4?
Yeah. Every single, like, there wasn't a piece of protein that went through Kimski or the plant thereafter that I didn't have my hands on.
Oh man, that is crazy to me, dude.
I might not have done 100% of it, but my hands were on it for the majority of the time.
Like, even when we do a pop-up, like, we have to like subdivide the cook to a certain, because we like a pop-up for like a full full platter, right? Because man, like one person can't be up for like 24 hours and then go sell the next day, you know?
I've done that.
I've
Yeah,
done that.
Yeah, I mean, like in my mind, one person can't do it, and then the fact that you guys do it.
You should not do that.
Yeah, I would not recommend it.
Yeah, you should
it
not
can be
test your abilities to stay up and do that, because like the quality goes down. You're going to be
You're not happy.
You're not
irritable,
happy. Yeah, like lean on each other. You know, make it work, and also play the strengths and the weaknesses, and try to make your weaknesses strengths as well.
Yeah.
Because you guys have that rapport with each other.
And I think that's what we're like starting to fine tune, is like where are the gaps, and can we each fill in each other's gaps, and then, you know, go forward. But,
Or even if there's something that you love to do, you hate to do, that's a great opportunity for like, hey, I'm never going to do this.
Yeah.
That's your role, right? And then I'll take something off of your plate that you don't necessarily love to do.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how, you know, Lenore is.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah,
And
100%.
Yeah, and I always joke, you know, Megan's like, she's really the brains of the operation. You know, I'm just a fake finance guy, and she's, you know, making sure the reports make sense. Yeah.
She's a real finance.
Yeah.
Want to test a marriage? Go ahead and just, you think it's a drama between you all.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it. It's
That's
a very understanding wife,
Hey,
right?
I'm so happy that I got away from that one clean. 'Cause,
Can you imagine? No, I can't imagine.
That was Lenore giving me grace, not the other way around. I tell you what.
Yeah.
I bet
Yeah.
she seems like the most patient woman, especially when she brings out peach cobbler.
Yeah. What else? What else do we want to cover? Any more questions, comments?
We talked about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, what does the future look like for you guys? Residency,
Yeah.
where you're going through a period where it's like, hey, you're going to get it.
Still in your life, though, man.
Yeah, listen, there's
In your blood.
there's like a steady paycheck that's going to come in a week, and then in another 2 weeks there's going to be another paycheck that comes. And
do you have health
time.
insurance?
You got time to do other things. You're probably in a probational period.
No,
I would say.
it's actually funny. I didn't hop in the open enrollment period because I'm like, I've gone this long without insurance. I'm gonna go a little bit longer.
Oh man!
Don't fall for that.
He's like,
Well, this is perfect. We know an EMT service that you can
There you go.
probably
There you
get
go.
in case of something bad happens.
I mean, you're right around the corner, so just crawl over here.
But yeah, it's nice knowing that I get to be a part of a team, and knowing that the skill set that I developed within 6-7 years not only gave me the ability to essentially walk into one of the bigger restaurant groups in the city with no experience, and I'm a week and a half in and I'm not completely out of my depth. I have a shit ton to learn, but I wasn't ran out of the building. So I'm just excited and also being on the other side of that, just I understand how necessary just a good employee, how necessary that is. So now I get to be that for someone else, and I'm just excited for that opportunity.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I think you have a great opportunity to kind of lean on Dave. You know, if he's like, hey, I'll help you whatever you want. Like, hey, sit down with him and be like, hey, can we look at finances? Can you teach me, you know, what this side of the business looks like? And it'd be great.
It's going to truly give me an idea of, is this what I want to do? Like, obviously, I don't have any desire to run a 7-day operation like they're running there. That is insane to me.
Well, you can't do it alone.
No, the amount of people that it takes just to make that happen just makes my brain hurt.
How many pitmasters do they have on staff?
Dude, there's 3 different people rotating every day, give or take, and then there's other people that float.
Right. So that's got to be like at
7
least
days a
6
week.
people, right? And that's got to be.
It's so many people that make it work. Like, I'm still meeting people. It's
That are
and I've been-
smoking, not doing other stuff, but like.
No, just everything.
Okay,
It's like, because that's the other thing too, is like a lot of people there are cross trained, so they'll be doing multiple different things.
Really?
And that's
All
also what I'm going to be doing, hopefully, as well.
Got you.
Like he told me, he's like get ready for a crash course on restaurant.
That's great.
That's what I'm here for. It's just rip the Band-Aid
I have a
off.
question. You don't have to give us the figure, obviously, but you were saying like, oh, real sales at Green Street. Do you know what the breakdown is between what their alcohol sales are, what they're doing percentage-wise versus takeout, all those things?
That I do not know.
You do not know. Okay.
I'm
just curious because I know places do a lot of takeout. I think like Sanders does about 50%, 75% takeout.
Yeah.
So
75%
it's very
takeout.
I think Soul and Smoke does.
Do they do
80+% takeout?
Yeah.
They're also building the restaurant. So
in my experience, the takeout. Granted, this is a very small window, but the takeout does not seem to be the majority at all.
Because it is a destination to like sit and eat. Green Streets, you know, it's like.
Well, you have a bar, you also have a coffee place.
It looks like
it's
the
beautiful,
ambiance,
like that
vibes,
trolley
like,
alley, right?
And it's the whole area too, because then you get Trivoli with their patio and Swada Coffee. So it's like I go in the morning and it's like a coffee shop that transitions into a barbecue
your
lunch
mornings
spot.
Must be nice.
Free cold brew does not suck.
That's amazing.
I'm gonna visit you more often.
So it goes from like a coffee shop to a barbecue lunch spot, and then all of a sudden it's a full service bar, and then at one point during the day it's all of those things. Then you throw in High Five Ramen in there as well.
Yeah.
And it's like there's so many moving parts that it's amazing for me to watch, and I have no aspiration to try and replicate what they're doing at all.
Yeah,
it's like I want my little mom and pop place, like where I'm a few days a week, and I'm happy as a clam.
Yeah,
and
man.
like I have a landline I never answer. That kind of
That's
deal.
the barbecue white picket fence.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of diversity that goes in there. Right? It's like High Five Ramen. Like, there's only 10 seats, maybe 8 seats, and you're like, there's a line out there. Oh, what do you do? Oh, you can wait at this bar over here. Oh, my wait's going to be an hour and a half. Oh, let's go get a snack at the barbecue place here, and then it's just all kind of, oh, we can't get in there. Okay, let's go to Trivoli Tavern. So they've built almost
It's an ecosystem,
like a food hall within their.
It's the same.
Hall,
I think it's the same restaurant group that.
Absolutely.
It does everything, right?
It is, yeah. So you look at that, you're like, okay, this is great. Coffee, like everything happens within that vicinity where it's a destination. And
it's beautiful,
that
cobblestone.
makes a lot of sense,
nice.
and that's great. That's great that they have that.
Wow.
Yeah. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I respected them pretty much. Anyone who asked me, like, who's your go-to in the city when it ain't you, it's always been them. But now actually getting to be there and see it, it's completely different. It's completely shifted my whole outlook on everything.
Yeah. Oh, we should have a chat about that. I'm curious. Yeah.
So you'll still eat there, right? That's
no, most definitely. Like,
okay, cool.
It's like I've only gained more respect for the operation being behind the scenes and literally seeing how the sausage is made.
Oh,
It's like
great.
if there are already things within 2 weeks of being there that I would immediately implement into my own thing if I were to decide to do it.
Yeah,
that's dope.
I think that's the right move, like to be, still barbecue adjacent in terms of being able to do the day in and day out, but not having that responsibility of making payroll and sending invoices, doing the marketing, making sure other employees are doing their job. Like, you just be like, oh, I don't have to worry about that shit. I'm going home right now.
Yeah, it's nice. My job is to do my job and then make everyone else's job easier and put out the best food possible still. So my end goal hasn't changed at all.
When we all started, that was like the fantasy, like the way you described it. Make good food, serve it, and that bringing joy, right? And so now that we're dipping into it, and there's so much more, right, beyond the actual food making and food serving and the smiles that positive feedback you get. There's all sorts of shit that you don't want to do that you got to do, right? That's the dream. It's like, how do we still do a business but still get that result? Well,
also wait till
Crazy.
It's inevitably going to happen that you're going to get some negative feedback, that someone's going to say something. Like, we had one where this person's like, well, he's not Hanoi or Austin. I'm like, that's cool, because that's literally what we are not, and you just told us what we're not. You assumed that's what we were, and then you gave us a negative review. I'm like, oh, cool. You're going to deal with that, and you just kind of brush it off and just keep focusing on what you're doing.
That we're gonna face that very quickly, because once we have a residency, we'll be on Google. That's the first thing I'm gonna do, is I'm gonna make sure that we have a Google presence, and then we'll start getting reviews. As pop-ups, you don't really have to deal with that, right? Because what are they gonna leave a comment on your Instagram, like whatever, or DM you, but like a public review those are gonna start coming in, and we haven't had to deal with like negative feedback yet.
We have disgruntled employees that'll leave some really nice reviews for you too. Like, right? It's all, and you just take it in stride. Everyone's a food critic. Like every single person that eats is inherently a food critic. Yeah. And some people like to talk about it, and some people don't.
Anything else, boys?
No, I think
before we got started, what was the topic supposed to be? Was there for this podcast, or was it just hey, let's just free roll it?
It was just kind of just free flowing. Things that came up to mind. Yeah. So there was not really an agenda, I don't think.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I think we did a good job.
About a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just I would say for people that are listening that are interested in barbecue, like be curious, consciously, and always just strive to take in as much information as you can. Like they talk about how like Kobe or Michael Jordan, how they rise to the occasion, and they're clutch. But really you think about it, it's like they over prepared for everything. So they were the most prepared, and you really, instead of rising to the occasion, you're going to your lowest level of preparation. And so if you have that mindset, like you're always going to be curious, you're always going to try to improve. And that's really powerful, because if you look back, your first brisket cook to now what you can do, it's night and day difference, right?
Yeah.
And so you think about, okay, have I really plateaued? Like, no, there is always continuous learning, and it's always going to be out there too on YouTube, and that's free information that you have. But also, since we are in the industry and we are in a very tough, time-consuming industry and sector, reach out to the people. If they say, hey, we'll help you, I'm like, okay, great. Then ask them. Be Kobe. Ask specific questions, and if they get annoyed, then it's like, well, you were just bullshitting me. Right? Like, and who's gonna know? Like that happens, and people talk about it, like, oh, this person kept asking me questions. Like, well, you offered that help. Maybe they're the asshole. I think that's that kind of rounds it out for my guest appearance as Victor. And I am consciously curious.
You did a great job.
I hope so.
Is this your first time hosting a podcast kind of thing? Like, I felt like you really rose to the occasion here.
Or lowest level preparation.
There
we go. Full circle on that one.
I gave you a layup. No, I had no idea what I was doing.
Well, awesome.
Right.
Great.
Well, hopefully in the future, like, we can do this once again and see where we're at. Like,
just keep us posted.
6 months plus, but I mean, you guys are always there at the tip of my fingertips. It's like, it's just
reach out.
It's just crazy that how you guys are so responsive to us.
Yeah, and what we say is what our experience is. We're probably not right. Maybe we're right. I don't know, because anything can happen. Yeah. So
that's barbecue, man.
Yeah, indeed. Cool.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Oh, my ears are